Welcome our viewers to Food War, Shokugeki no Soma the second plate. Let me tell you about this wild cooking competition at the Totsuki Culinary Academy. It's the most wonderful time of the year. No, not Christmas, silly. It's the autumn elections. Our favorite culinary students will battle it out in a series of mouth-watering cook-offs. So, after season 1, we've got 8 culinary wizards advancing to the next round. Our dear Megumi is having a meltdown, making sure she brings everything she needs. But relax, Megumi, today's just about learning the rules, not throwing down in the kitchen yet. So, Soma strolls into the school, and guess who he's up against first? Alice, the principal's niece and a whiz kid in molecular gastronomy. She's got all this fancy equipment that makes Soma's tools look like they're from the Stone Age. But hey, Soma's got confidence in his hands and his trusty knife. The battle kicks off with a bento theme, and both chefs start whipping up their culinary masterpieces. After 2 hours, it's showtime. Alice unveils her dish first, a sushi bento with an icy nitrogen layer to keep it chilled. The presentation is stunning, and the judges are blown away by the taste. Alice breaks down the dish's ingredients and layout, and the judges can't get enough. The principal even strips down, which, in this case, means he's loving it. Now it's Soma's turn with his nori bento. People start comparing the two dishes, but Soma stands firm, claiming his restaurant's specialty is bento. He's got it in a thermal box to keep it warm. First up, the side dishes, crispy, flavorful fried goodies. Ryoko can vouch for them since she had a sneak peek the night before. The judges take a bite and drift off into a daydream of frolicking in a meadow. Next up, a smoked meat soup with a smell that makes everyone feel connected. Soma says that while Alice's dish is incredible, it misses the true spirit of a bento box. He shares a story about Mrs. Kayu, a loyal customer who couldn't make it to his diner for her usual bento. So, he brought her one filled with love and care, the essence of a bento box. When the judges dig into Soma's rice, they find a burst of green grains that explode with flavor, inspired by Soma's favorite cheap candy. Compared to Alice's gem-like arrangement, Soma's bento is a treasure chest waiting to be discovered. The main dish is a soup 3 times richer than the previous smoked meat soup, and when paired with the rice, the judges can't stop eating. The principal, in a surprising move, strips down again, pointing out where Alice's dish falls short of Soma's masterpiece. Soma, being the good sport he is, hands Alice a bento to taste. As she chows down, she's hit with a wave of childhood memories, reminding her of her passion for cooking. Each bite brings more feels, like a warm hug in the middle of a cold winter. And boom, Soma takes the win. Alice is sprawled on the floor, sobbing like a toddler. When Soma reaches out to help her up, she vows to never lose again before storming off. Out comes Megumi, ready for her face-off against Alice's sidekick, Ryo. Their culinary showdown? Ramen. Before the battle, they pick their ingredients for the school to prep. Ryo's quick to choose his noodles, while Megumi puts her thinking cap on, experimenting with different ramen dishes. She knows Ryo's gonna whip up something decadent, but she struggles to create her perfect ramen bowl. That is until the dorm landlady delivers a care package from Megumi's mom, filled with local goodies. And just like that, Megumi has a plan. The match is on, and the judges are ready to evaluate the ramen on 3 factors: noodles, toppings, and soup. Crafting a delicious, authentic ramen is no easy feat, but these two are up for the challenge. Ryo's soup is a seafood extravaganza with a deep red hue, and he even pulverizes shrimp with a hammer for added flavor. Alice shares that Ryo's been a head chef since he was a kid, but everyone in the dorm still cheers Megumi on. Ryo's not a fan of the whole friendship thing and resents Megumi's support squad. But Megumi's not backing down. She coolly tackles her cooking steps and whips up a crystal clear, glistening soup. The judges gather to watch her in action and sing her praises, but Ryo steals the spotlight with his impressive noodle-pulling skills. According to Alice, Ryo's always been a force to be reckoned with, making even seasoned chefs bow down to him. And just like that, it's time for the judges to taste Ryo's dish. One slurp and the judges are hooked on Ryo's rich shrimp flavor. They can't stop eating. The shrimp powder topping adds an extra flavor punch, making Ryo's dish feel like an epic taste bud battle royale. The principal's so impressed that he strips down. Classic. Now it's Megumi's turn. Visually, her dish isn't as bold as Ryo's, but the taste? Uniquely divine, leaving the judges craving more. Her soup has scallops and other ingredients that create a crystal clear, yet rich, seafood experience. Megumi also smartly uses dried veggies to amp up the aroma, resulting in a scrumptious, refreshing ramen dish. Even Ryo can't resist the taste, and after trying Megumi's ramen, he admits it's just as rich as his own. It's like a scene from JoJo, shrimp and scallop minions duking it out in a mouth-watering battle for the ages. And so, the principal grabs his pen to crown Ryo as the winner. I mean, Megumi's dish didn't get him to strip, so it's a no-brainer, right? Still, Megumi receives a standing ovation from the crowd, and the day's matches wrap up. They'll be back at it tomorrow. The principal heads to the restroom, only to realize he'd unknowingly undressed from the inside. How embarrassing! That evening, everyone gets in the zone for the next day's autumn festival battles. The next match is about to start, but Soma's still snoozing, so he's rushing to the scene. Meanwhile, a tall, burly guy, also a finalist, passes by. Though he looks tough, he's all about the details. He snaps a pic of his locked bike, covers it with a tarp, ties it up, and even uses GPS tracking to prevent theft. His motto? Precision down to the millimeter. Now, it's time for the next match, with a hamburger theme. Enter Hayama, the spice master, and Hisako, the herbs master. Hayama kicks things off by prepping a doner kebab. That's grilled meat on a skewer, sliced as it cooks. Hisako, on the other hand, whips out a soft-shell turtle and skillfully processes it, wasting nothing. Megumi spots Soma arriving and joins him just as the tall, burly dude from earlier reveals he's done his homework on Soma and Takumi, down to their height, weight, and history. The four of them gather to watch Hayama and Hisako duke it out on TV. Hisako's determined to conquer the autumn election with her divine culinary skills. She serves her dish, and the judges feel like they're floating on air after just one bite. The dish is tender, tasty, and even health-boosting. It's like a delicious monster turtle, prompting the principal to disrobe. Again. Over on Hayama's side, the aroma of his dish turns the judges into salivating pups. They wolf down his dish without even realizing it. The taste is mind-blowing, with a sophisticated combo of beef and spices making it irresistible. The tucked-away side dishes elevate the rich beef flavor to new heights, and, no surprises here, Hayama takes the win. Soma's crew gets ushered to the stands so Subaru and Takumi can gear up for the fourth match. But in the prep room, Subaru disses Takumi's crescent moon knife and his brother, calling him a gum-house kid, then challenges Takumi with his knife. It's a full-blown Shokugeki in the midst of the autumn election. Takumi throws down his glove, old-school Western style, and Subaru's up for the duel. The stakes? If Takumi wins, Subaru must kneel, apologize to the crescent moon knife, and say sorry to Takumi's brother. If Takumi loses, he'll forfeit his prized knife. Ibiyu explains that Subaru's a sneaky fellow who stalks his targets and forces them to bet their cooking tools. He's already won 99 matches. Today's theme is dessert, and as the match kicks off, both contestants have identical ingredients. Everyone notices that in Subaru's past matches, he'd always make the same dish as his opponent but with tasty upgrades. Subaru's got wind that Takumi's making a 3-layer cake, and he's ready to battle him with the same dish. Takumi keeps his cool as he preps, but everyone's shocked when Subaru improves Takumi's dish to make it smoother and fluffier. He even swipes Takumi's Italian lemon liqueur for his syrup, leaving Takumi in a panic as all his moves are countered. Subaru's like a culinary demon, earning the nickname Lord of Restless Souls. With time running out, Takumi bakes his cake, but when it comes out of the oven, the two cakes have totally different colors. Subaru has added cocoa powder to make his sponge cake even softer and fluffier, making Takumi feel like he's losing. In a moment of clarity, Takumi remembers his days in Italy and digs into his ingredient box, finding his calm. When the dish is served, the judges can't help but savor it with delight, as if it's transformed into a beautiful young woman. Next, it's Takumi's turn to present his cake, topped with a thin yellow layer. The judges taste it, and a burst of lemon flavor fills their mouths, thanks to the royal lemon butter Takumi spread between the layers. In the face of adversity, Takumi uses his know-how to make a royal lemon butter that enhances the cake's flavor, with the help of exclusive olive oil gifted by his father. But just then, Subaru flashes a cunning smile. Everything Takumi's done has been part of his plan. Knowing Takumi would make the royal lemon butter, Subaru adds tiny pieces of salted lemon to his cake, making the blend of bitter, sweet, and sour take the cake to new heights. It's like Takumi's stuck in a predetermined loop. In the end, Subaru wins. When they get back to the dorm, everyone's shocked to see Subaru chillin' in Soma's room. But Soma's cool as a cucumber, serving up grub to Subaru, and they start chatting. Subaru gets feisty and challenges Soma to a Shokugeki, which Soma casually accepts. The stakes are high. If Soma wins, Subaru gives back all the stolen cooking tools. If Soma loses, he'll quit being a chef. Everyone bursts in, scolding Soma for being reckless, while Subaru's smirking about the deal. The upcoming battle between Soma and Subaru has a beef stew theme. Then, a young reporter named Ms. Suro shows up, wanting to interview Soma, who thinks Ms. Suro might be one of Subaru's minions. Once he learns Mishuro's from the press club, Soma relaxes a bit. Soma's stubborn and only agrees to let Ms. Suro investigate him after some serious persistence. Soma starts experimenting with his beef stew in the kitchen, and Mishuro's firing off questions and snapping pics for his article. He even gets to taste the goods. Though the food's delicious, Soma feels it's not enough to win. He wants to keep experimenting, but Mishuro's stomach is already stuffed. Meanwhile, Irina's feeling lonely since Hisako's on a break after losing a match. Suddenly, Irina's doorbell rings, and she thinks Hisako's back. But nope, it's Soma and Ms. Suro with a pot of beef stew, seeking her guidance. After taking a bite, Irina says it's just street food quality because it's off topic. She shoos them away, but before they leave, she tells them her tasting fee is borrowing the rest of the manga she's been reading. Meanwhile, Subaru's fantasizing about morphing into Soma and cooking for everyone at Soma's restaurant, planning to become a Pro-Max version of Soma. Soma asks Nikomi for some top-notch meat from her family, and with a mountain of meat and Irina's words echoing in his mind, Soma has an epiphany and gets to work. The following days are filled with Soma testing out various beef stew recipes. Finally, it's almost time for the Soma vs. Subaru showdown. Soma messages Takumi brothers, telling him to come watch the match and promising to win back everything. The competition's about to begin, and the judges start the prep time. Soma uses oxtail as his main ingredient, along with a bunch of spices and fancy cooking techniques. He wants to prove Irina wrong. If Subaru's a swordsman, then Soma's a samurai. The duel is on. Subaru knows all the deets about Soma and plans to beat him by using smoked meat as a side dish and a special ingredient, black sugar, for marinating. The judges think Soma's up against a boulder, while Subaru's smooth sailing. Subaru thanks Ms. Suro for the intel he gathered over the past week about Soma. Turns out, he was always lurking and eavesdropping on their convos, making Ms. Suro feel guilty for putting Soma in a tight spot. Soma's all cool and confident, busting out a box of meat and announcing that the real game is just getting started. He starts cooking up his dish, even snagging a grill for the meat. This shows off Soma's adaptability and his knack for thriving in any situation. Finally, it's showtime for the dishes. First up, Subaru presents his dish, and when the judges taste a piece of meat, they're blown away by the mind-blowingly delicious flavor. They start analyzing Subaru's dish, feeling like they're getting body slammed by two wrestling pigs and cows. Subaru's standing there, sporting a grin like a junkie who just scored, thinking he's got this win in the bag. But Soma's chill as ever, serving up his braised beef dish with a bunch of on-theme sides. When the judges taste it, they're suddenly rocketed on a flavor journey, like they're on a supersonic roller coaster slamming straight into their taste buds, creating an insanely intense sensation. The judges dig the dish so much that they comically strip down in response. Soma got inspired by a mixed veggie soup and turned it into something extra special. He's all about upping his game, not just swiping other people's recipes and trying to make them better. And guess what? Soma comes out on top. Soma even whipped up a special portion for Subaru, and when he tastes it, Subaru can't help but rave about how freaking delicious it is. He remembers how, as a kid, he had a talent for recreating dishes he'd seen before. But Subaru's dad thought that was just recipe stealing and nothing to brag about. In a cooking contest, Subaru jazzed up one of his dad's dishes and won first place, which humiliated and ticked off his dad, eventually getting him kicked out of the family. From then on, Subaru's only goal was to crush other chefs to prove he's the top dog. But this time, he's been beaten. All the stolen cooking tools get returned to the students, and Takumi hands his precious knife to Soma, asking him to hold onto it until the day he beats Soma and takes it back. That, he says, is the true spirit of a chef who never stops leveling up, even when facing failure. Hearing this, Subaru starts to grasp the real meaning behind those words. He keeps eating Soma's dish, feeling like he's transformed into a young girl with silky smooth, baby-like skin. Soma moves on to the final round of the autumn tournament, while the next day's match is between Hayama and Ryo, both getting pumped for their upcoming face-off. The next day, the match kicks off with a Western cuisine showdown. The audience analyzes both contestants, and most folks think Hayama's got the edge over Ryo. But then, Ryo whips out a massive eel, and everyone's jaws hit the floor. Alice chimes in, reminding everyone that Ryo's been a chef since he was a wee lad, constantly leveling up to survive in a cutthroat world. The epic cook-off is like a tiger battling an eagle, the king of the jungle squaring off against the king of the sky. Hayama's spice-centric dish floods the arena with mouth-watering aromas, while Ryo's laser-focused on getting his dish just right. At last, the cook-off reaches its peak. Hayama serves up his apex duck, a Western dish that foodies go gaga over. As the judges take a bite, they're blown away by the flavor explosion, feeling like they've turned into ducks themselves. It's a gentle yet incredibly powerful taste, hitting their taste buds and making it downright addictive. It's like watching a wrestling match mixed with a Pokemon battle, with Hayama on top. But Ryo's got an ace up his sleeve. His dish may not smell as tantalizing as Hayama's, but when the judges dig in, they're genuinely shocked. The flavor not only stands up to Hayama's but also zeroes in on the judges' taste buds, thanks to a few clever side dishes with his tuna creation. It's so irresistible that they can't stop eating. Hayama's starting to feel like Ryo the Tiger's got his leg in a vice, and it's time to vote for the winner. 2 votes go to Hayama, and the next 2 go to Ryo, resulting in a tie. Inu is the tiebreaker, but she thinks both dishes are equally amazing and calls it a draw. Ryo's ticked off, saying there can't be 2 kings in 1 kingdom, but Jin steps in and suggests they both get equal points, setting a new precedent for the final round. So, the finals will feature Soma, Hayama, and Ryo. The principal's all jazzed up and greenlights this arrangement. The press club interviews the 3 contestants, and the final round's theme is announced: skipjack tuna dishes. They've got 10 days to gear up for the finals. The next morning, Soma and Megumi head to the fish market to pick out ingredients. The place is hopping with people coming and going. They bump into Ryo and Alice, who are shopping too. Ryo says he's there every day and feels right at home. Soma picks out a plump-looking skipjack tuna at a fish store, but Ryo says it's not the best and goes for a skinnier one. They decide to put their fish to the test by making sushi. After a taste test, Megumi realizes Soma's fish doesn't quite measure up to Ryo's, showing off Ryo's skill at spotting top-notch ingredients in a flash. Ryo and Alice head out together. Soma finds out from the fish vendors that a young guy with dark skin and white hair, Hayama, swings by the market, too. He's got a knack for sniffing out the best fish. Both Hayama and Ryo have their fish-picking methods, while Soma's pretty clueless. Soma and Megumi head outside to grill the fish, but Megumi's worried Soma's lack of ingredient sleuthing skills will put him way behind the other 2. Meanwhile, the press club interviews Jun and Hayama. Hayama reveals his fish-choosing secret, sensing the unique smell that's released when the fish breaks down its fat. Ryo, though, quickly gets fed up with the reporter's questions. Soma, still stressing about choosing the best ingredients, has a light bulb moment and recruits Ibusaki, Sasaki, and Ikumi to help him experiment with fermenting fish to make up for his weak ingredient hunting skills. The trio has different fermentation techniques, so Soma asks for their help in learning the art of fish fermentation. He then gets busy at the fish market, picking out prime fish. After their first fermented fish experiment, the taste is good, but Megumi thinks it still doesn't stack up to Ryo's fish. Soma's deep in thought, trying to figure out how to ferment the fish to perfection. When he walks past Fumio's room, he spots some appetizers on her table and gets hit with a brilliant idea. Soma excitedly thanks Fumio for sparking his new plan. The day of the final showdown arrives, and everyone hops on stage to start cooking. The judges are the principal, Jin, and Nikuri, Alice's mom, who, despite her looks, is a gourmet connoisseur at the academy. Hayama and Ryo bring out their razor-sharp skipjack tuna, while Soma's fish looks a bit plain. But Hayama and Ryo notice that Soma's used fermentation to level the ingredient quality playing field. As per the competition's annual tradition, a moonlit frame is opened, and time's up when the moon crosses the entire frame. The official match kicks off, and the contestants get busy cooking their dishes. Outside, the judges start dissecting the contestants' ingredients and dishes one by one. Alice glances at her mom and remembers when she first introduced Ryo as her future servant. They'd had cooking battles, with Alice always winning until Ryo finally bested her. That was when Rio agreed to call Alice Miss and chose to follow her. Rio's dish today features thermal insulation. In under an hour, when the moon's only halfway across the frame, Rio finishes his dish. He presents it to the judges for scoring, opening a bag that releases an ocean-like aroma. The irresistible scent lures Jin and Nakuri, who can't help but dive in. The dish's perfect blend of seafood elements enhances the star of the show, skipjack tuna. The secret weapon, frozen herb butter, melts slowly into the fish, giving it a rich, delectable flavor. After trying this amazing dish, Alice's mom gets ready for some show-stopping entertainment, busting out a Japanese rap to praise Rio's dish, along with a glowing review. Even the principal loses his clothes after eating Rio's dish, sending the whole crowd into a cheering frenzy. Next up is Hayama's dish, but Rio objects to its presence in the competition right away. It's a fish appetizer, and Rio thinks it's no match for his dish. As the judges get set to dig in, Hayama announces there's one more step. He whips out a blowtorch and lightly sears the fish, wowing everyone. The dish looks even tastier, and what makes it special is that Hayama uses just one ingredient, pepper. The pepper's bold spice enhances the fish's sweetness, and a soy sauce-based outer layer creates a beautifully seared fish without any burnt bits. If Rio's tuna dish is like a massive sword, then Hayama was a long sword in the previous match. But now, he's transformed into an incredibly delicate small sword. Once again, after tasting Hayama's dish, the principal loses his clothes. It's Soma's turn now, and as the moon finishes its journey, he presents his dish to the judges for scoring. It's a mixed rice dish with fish and rice bran, called nukudoko. After trying it, Jin and Nakuri rave about the dish's richness, fish sweetness, and how well it pairs with rice. Thanks to the rice bran fermentation, the fish retains its most delicious and succulent flavors. Soma, once wielding a wooden sword, has now forged an incredibly sharp blade. After finishing their bowls of rice, the principal still has his clothes on, which worries everyone. But Soma asks the judges if they'd like another bowl since he's got a separate pot of soup to pour over the rice. Meanwhile, Ishiki chats with his senpai and learns it was his senpai's idea that provoked Subaru to challenge Soma, only for Soma to come out on top. As the judges get ready to score, Soma brings out a pot of thick white soup and says this is the final part of his dish. He serves each judge another bowl and pours the white soup over it. The principal instantly loses his clothes after tasting it. The soup Soma prepared is made from soybeans, miso, and cheese, making the already scrumptious rice dish even more irresistible. Nakuri starts rapping in Japanese. Soma is the wild card, having trained with his dad Totsuki since he was a kid. Despite countless setbacks, he always bounces back and keeps experimenting. This is what Ishiki heard from Soma's father. The principal and two judges start making their decision. Each of the three dishes has a unique flavor, and they're all delicious in their own right. They're judged equal in this aspect. But the deciding factor for the championship is the dish's uniqueness. As they get ready to announce the winner, everyone goes quiet, and Hayama thinks back to his past, being saved from slum life by June. He's aimed for the top ever since, simply because it would make June happy. Hayama's hard work pays off as he's crowned the winner of the competition with his extraordinary dish. Over the moon, he hugs June but quickly lets go, feeling a tad embarrassed. Rio, a bit salty, runs into a little girl who rubs salt in the wound. Soma and Rio insist on trying Hayama's winning dish, itching to see if it's really all that. They start squabbling about whether they could whip it up too, and then bicker over who should get second place. When the prizes are handed out, Soma snags second and Rio third. Post-competition, Soma's dad calls to check in and, hearing that his son lost to June's protege, bursts into laughter. He then urges Soma to find his own cooking groove. Soma ponders this, wondering if he can uncover his own secret sauce. From that day forward, Rio and Soma swing by Hayama's room often, asking him to cook for them so they can learn how to topple him. Little do they know that their brotherly bond is slowly but surely growing stronger. In the days that follow, June tells the students they'll soon head off for internships, as first-year students spend a week at different eateries at year's end. The restaurant owners will judge if they can keep studying. That day, Soma meets Hisako, and they both intern at a restaurant where the owner is a big fan of both of them. Upon their arrival, the owner instantly asks for their autographs. As they get to work, the restaurant rapidly fills up with customers, thanks to its prime location near a subway station. As one wave of customers clears out and another rolls in, Soma takes the lead, and everything starts running smoothly as they keep up with the orders. By day's end, they've successfully finished their duties. Meanwhile, Megumi and Irina intern together at another eatery. On arrival, Irina chews out the head chef, which freaks Megumi out. But Irina's dishes thrill the customers, and the head chef, though miffed, can't tell her off. Under Irina's command, the kitchen gets more organized, and work speeds up. The head chef, despite his grudge, can't help but ask her for guidance. After interning for a few days and noticing a spike in customer complaints, Hisako calls an emergency meeting to revamp the restaurant's menu. The menu has been handed down through generations, and the owner is reluctant to change it, but Soma asks what he envisions for his restaurant. Soma then suggests menu tweaks, and they cook up the best solutions for the new lineup. When a loyal customer hears about the menu makeover, he tries the new dishes and leaves very satisfied. A Totsuki rep watches from afar and gives passing scores to Soma and Hisako before departing. Megumi and Irina also pass with flying colors and sort out their rides home. As they bid adieu, Soma gives Hisako some advice that makes her see her own problems. He also hands her a manga Irina's been wanting to read and asks her to pass on his thanks to Irina. Hisako spots Soma's warm heart, thanks him, and takes off. Soma spends another week of solo interning at a different restaurant, this time at Shin's place. Shin has recommended someone for the internship, and when he finds out it's Soma, he cracks a satisfied grin. Upon arrival, Soma gets stuck with cleaning, as the restaurant is still gearing up to open. There are 2 female chefs, Ko and Lucy, and a sous chef Abel. Abel is green with envy because Soma can chat casually with Shin the head chef, while he cannot, which hurts his pride. After a morning of intense cleaning, lunchtime rolls around, and Shin is itching to flex his culinary muscles for his team. He whips up a dish in the kitchen that, after just one bite, has everyone feeling supercharged. They all start dissecting the dish, while Shin insists it's not complete without a little booze. He nudges Abel to fetch the alcohol. Fast forward to the next day, which marks the soft opening of the restaurant. The main guests are friends and acquaintances who've come to evaluate the service and offer feedback before the big day. Everyone gets briefed, and during the opening, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Soma can feel it. Everyone's dialed in, while Soma scrambles to keep up. Abel gives him an earful, but Soma doesn't get defensive, admits his error, and hustles even harder to be more efficient. Meanwhile, their peers are also grinding away at their individual internship assignments. After an exhausting day, they wrap up the first day of the soft opening, but the workload for the next day is set to double, or even triple. Soma thinks back to his first day at school and all the hurdles he's overcome, fueling him to push harder. The next day, everyone arrives to find the kitchen squeaky clean, with all the ingredients prepped and ready to roll. Despite the breakneck pace, Soma is eager to learn from the more experienced chefs. Over the following days, he makes leaps and bounds, catching up to everyone else's work rhythm. Shin even trusts Soma enough to let him cook solo when everyone else is swamped. Finally, 4 days of the soft opening fly by, and the last day dawns. After the soft opening, there will be a contest to concoct a new dish for the menu, and Soma's set on crafting an original dish to compete. Shin senses Soma's grit when he talks about it. The next day, Soma remains fired up to learn from Abel and the other chefs, and the final day of the soft opening goes off without a hitch. Friends and acquaintances of the restaurant staff, including Shin's mom, swing by to savor the dishes prepared by Shin and his crew. After polishing off her meal, Shin's mom showers her son's cooking with praise, which fills his heart with warmth. Soma asks Shin why he chose French cuisine, and Shin shares a tale from his childhood. When Shin started first grade, his family celebrated at a French restaurant, and his mom was smitten with the food. Shin vowed to master French cooking so he could keep his mom smiling every day. After seeing his mom off, the contest for the new menu kicks off, and Inu, a friend of Shin's, insists on sticking around to sample the dishes, even after Shin jokingly jabs her. The competition begins, and Soma, inspired by the zeal of his fellow contestants, refuses to be left in the dust. He channels everything he's learned from his dad and the others into his one-of-a-kind dish. After the 3 veteran chefs strut their stuff, it's Soma's time to shine. He unveils a whole roasted quail, with Shin acting as the taste tester. One bite in, and Shin's blown away. Inu can't resist giving it a try and is equally wowed. The dish boasts a crispy exterior, while the inside stays succulent. Soma's done his homework, picking the perfect filling ingredients to maintain just the right moisture. But the piece de resistance? It's all wrapped in cabbage leaves. After dissecting Soma's dish, Shin rises to his feet, praising him but also dishing out some tough love. He says it's not quite menu-worthy yet. But then he proposes tweaking Soma's dish, which gets Soma all fired up. Shin points out some slip-ups in Soma's ingredient choices and culinary techniques. Outside, the supervisor declares Soma's passed the internship with flying colors, and the next day, Soma bids farewell to Shin's restaurant. The first-year students have picked their diamonds in the rough to polish, and those who stay are the gems worth shining. Everyone's hard at work, and back at Shin's place. When customers ask about any special dishes, Shin confidently recommends Soma's creation, secretly giving it a spot on his new menu. And so, Soma's quest to become the king of chefs marches on. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay updated. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share with your friends. Your support helps our channel grow. See you in the next one.